really easy to forgive someone, right? When they're like, you reconcile, but it's almost never the case. Like most of the time you have to, especially when it comes to your family, or when you have to forgive yourself, your 14-year-old self, or your 16-year-old self, or your best friend from back, you just have to forgive these moments on your own. And it seems like you all had moments where you had to, approach forgiveness without reconciliation. It seems like you all wrote about that. So I wonder if any of you have anything to say on that. Go ahead, Taylor.
Okay. I wrote a memoir that I think is, I'm not sure if it's forgiving my younger selves, but it's sort of confronting and reckoning with the different versions of a man that I've been and the guy that I've been, and how I've reckoned with the, I think, really damaging and destructive ways I was taught to be a guy. And I don't know, I think that it was weird because after the book came out, I got put on a lot of platforms where I was kind of tokenized as like the guy who was super problematic, but now had arrived at wokeness or something. And I've been, no, I'm actually still really problematic, and just working in progress. Not wanting to be problematic, but still very much trying to unlearn a bunch of toxic things. And I think for me, it's just, I know that I struggled for so long feeling like I could just be myself in the world and knowing that I was enough. And feeling so deeply ashamed of my vulnerability and my emotionality and being sensitive and being tender and being all these different things that in this machismo colombiano culture, I felt like I had to be like a fighter and a playboy and a sort of robot of violence. And I just wanted to watch E.T. and cry and cut a tabletop pie out of a vending machine in half and share it with my best friend, And I think so for me, the only ways I know how to try to hold on to myself and cultivate love with myself so I can find it with other people is to try to unpack all those different versions I've been. And I think a lot of them are really ugly and really scary, and ones that I'm still deeply ashamed of in different ways. But to me, it's like there's no alternative. You know what I mean? I can't change who I was at 23 or 17, but I can try to be a better version of myself today than I was yesterday or 12 years ago. And hopefully if I continue to do that, maybe I can be the great father I want to be to my daughter and my next child, But it's a work in progress. My daughter's like, oh wow, hey Poppy, you have a lot of work to do. You're really still a work in progress. I'm like, yeah, I'm really humbled. I got a lot of work to do. So that's a really roundabout way of saying that I think every day is a practice in forgiveness with a lot of struggles with reconciliation. Because I don't know if it's about being reconciled. It's not absolution. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't think you write a memoir about a bunch of really problematic parts of yourself and you're like, oh, you're absolved now. I'm not absolved. You know what I mean? Right. But I can name them in a way where I hopefully will not repeat those versions of myself.
I think just to piggyback on that second poem that I wrote, or that I shared today, is a poem that I tried to write probably once a year for 8 years. And I've been thinking a lot about the ways in which our bodies respond to shame, things that have happened that we're ashamed of, either that have happened to us or that we've done. It is a stovetop, right? And so the reason why your body is no, I didn't even want to look at that. When I was in high school, if my friends brought up what happened in that basement, I'd be like, my body would short wire and I'd leave, right? Because I couldn't have my finger on it long enough to look at it, right? And so shame is something that's so real in the body, but it also distorts the story, right? And so part of the writing process for me is trying to keep my hand steady on the stovetop for long enough to name what is accurate in that story. And so when I finally told the story, I was able to see how excited I was and how much I had this image that was false, but was a dream of mine, and what it looked like when it went away, and what it looked like to want something so much and to have desire, but to have no vulnerability to say I want this, but I can't put myself out enough to ask it, so I'll take it, right? And so what happens, so that's a kind of shame, right? I'm ashamed of my body in the moment, and so I don't think I'm worthy of asking for any sort of physical interaction, and so my body takes it, right? And that's a really important dynamic to look at, but also in the wake of it, I don't want to know what I see in Anna's eyes, right? And because I don't want to, I'm capable of such dangerous things. I'm capable of denying it. I'm capable of lying about it. I'm capable of besmirching her name. And I didn't do those things explicitly in high school, but I think by my silence, I did do those things. And so, like, part of what it is keeping your hand steady enough to name the dynamic long enough to be accurate about it. And I think it makes me less dangerous, yes, to those around me, but it also starts with compassion for the self.